So recently, one of my neighbors, she was pruning her Dracaena plants and brought me these two huge cuttings and asked me if I want to make plants from it. And of course, I said yes. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to propagate Dracaena from cuttings. So Dracaena is a popular house plant. It comes in many shapes and varieties. Some have thinner leaves, some have wider leaves, but they all like indirect bright sunlight. So it makes them an excellent house plant. Now she took the cuttings in the month of September, which is not particularly a growth period, but I had no choice. I already had the cuttings in my hand. So each cutting was about 3 feet long. So I took about 1 foot from the bottom, just pruned it, so that had no leaves. And then I had 2 feet long cutting, which had leaves on the top. And the same thing I did to the other cutting. So now I had 4 cuttings and I put all 4 of them in water. So in the beginning, I was changing water every day, but then after a week, I started changing water once every week. So it's been about 3 to 4 weeks that I planted these Dracaena cuttings in the water, and I've been changing water. And now you can see that the roots have started to grow. Even in this one, smaller roots are coming, but these roots are pretty big. So here the roots are big. Here small roots are growing. Here, and this one is a big one, and here small roots are growing. I think in one of the cuttings, the roots are really tiny. It's hard to see. But so this is doing great. I've been changing water once every week. In the beginning, it was getting very muddy, so I was changing like every couple of days, and then now I've been changing like every 1 week. It's been this jar has been sitting inside for past 2 months, and let me show you. I think all the cuttings have developed roots. So look at the roots. So this is the one with lot of leaves. So this was the top part of the cutting that she gave me. And look at the roots. So I have in this planter, general purpose potting soil mix. So I'm going to just make a hole, deep one, because this is a tall cutting. And if you look at it, even above this, there are roots developing. So I'm going to gently put it in here and just put the soil and press it. I'm going to maybe put a little bit more soil. And since this cutting was inside, I'm going to take it inside and keep it in the same area. So this is one of the big ones. So there's another one here. So even this one has a lot of roots. Now if you look at this again, so there were 4 cuttings. So basically each of the cuttings were like too long, so I cut them in 2 pieces. So the top one I showed you, both of them, and these are the bottom portions, and both of them grew roots. But I would say the other 2 grew more roots than this, maybe because they had leaves, so the leaves were producing energy for the cutting, and these 2 had nothing. So these leaves growing from here, it started after I put it in the water. So again, I'm going to leave one of these in the water, and the other one, because this is smaller, I'm going to put it in a small planter to start with, and then we'll see as it starts to grow, then I'm going to move it in a bigger planter. So I'm going to water them thoroughly, and then I'll just move them inside where they were, and I'll keep you posted. So now you can see we have 2 plants in the soil and we have 2 in this jar. By the way, I forgot to tell you one thing, that when I put these cuttings in the water 2 months ago, the ones with the leaves, they dropped a lot of leaves from the bottom. And that's quite normal because they are adjusting to the new reality. They got cut from a plant and they had no source of energy. They are just in water. So it is quite normal. But still, with all that, they developed roots. So it's been about 6 weeks that we transplanted our cuttings in soil, the cuttings with roots in soil. So I wanted to show you the results. So here is the small cutting that we planted in soil, and there was this shoot coming out, but now you can see that the leaves have started opening up. So this is doing fine. If you look at this one, you can see on top that this leaf is light in color. So this is fresh growth. I can show you the close-up. You can see that this is fresh growth and it is still opening up. It is not completely open. And then if we look at the cuttings in water, you can see that how much roots have grown here. And again, in this small cutting, you can see the shoot was coming out, but now the leaves have started to open up. So it's doing fine. And again, on this big one, you can see fresh growth in the middle here. And they've been sitting inside where they get indirect sunlight. And I keep changing the water of this one every week. I mean, these days it's winter time, so I don't need to water these 2 that much, maybe once in 15 days. But you can see that they are all doing fine. So I'm going to just leave them as it is and let them grow. And maybe, in a separate video in 1 year or so, I'll show you the growth of all these plants again. So it is pretty simple. I got a cutting which was about 2 to 3 feet long. I made smaller cuttings from it. I put them in water. Some had leaves on the top, some did not have leaves on the top, and they slowly grew root. And this was in the month of September. Normally, I would say that if you have to take a cutting, take it in springtime because then growth will be faster. In my case, I didn't have a choice. My neighbor was pruning her plant, so whenever she gave me the cutting, I put them in water, and that was in September. And now I'm in the middle of January, and you can see that all of them are doing fine. So it is very easy to propagate them from cutting. So I hope this video was useful to you. If you have any questions, leave me a comment and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to share it with your friends and family. And I'll see you next time. Happy gardening. Bye.